Melody Shari, also known as Melody Shari Rogers, also known by many supporters as money-making male or mobile-making male, and while people can have opinions about public figures, what we are seeing right now goes beyond commentary and moves into something much more calculated, much more coordinated, and much more concerning. There is a strange and very bizarre story that has been floating around social media, specifically TikTok, and it has now started making its way into YouTube streets. These claims are being packaged as personal experiences, but when you actually slow down and listen to what is being said, the story does not flow logically. The timeline does not make sense, the accusations do not connect cleanly, and the timing of it all raises serious red flags. This is not happening in a vacuum. These allegations started circulating the exact same day it was announced that Stormy Steele would be leading a Bell Collective spinoff, reportedly Bell Collective's Birmingham. That announcement dropped, and suddenly, out of nowhere, Melody Shari's name is being dragged into unrelated drama involving customer service claims, identity theft accusations, YouTubers Martell, and supposed financial losses. So the first question that must be asked is simple. Why now? Why is Melody, who is no longer actively on reality television, suddenly the center of negative attention? Why is her business being accused publicly instead of handled privately? And why does this all surface at the exact moment another cast member's spinoff is announced? That coincidence is too convenient to ignore. Now, let's break this down piece by piece, because this situation is being intentionally muddied to confuse the audience and overwhelm the narrative. When people throw multiple accusations at once, especially when they are emotional and scattered, it becomes harder for viewers to separate facts from assumptions. That is often the goal. The first allegation being pushed is that there was an unsatisfied customer who ordered products from 7th Avenue Beauty and allegedly did not receive their order. On the surface, that sounds straightforward. Businesses deal with shipping issues all the time. Orders get delayed, items go out of stock. These are normal business occurrences, especially during the holiday season. What matters is how those issues are handled. And here is where the story starts falling apart. 7th Avenue Beauty has clearly defined customer service channels. This is not hidden. This is not unclear. If you order directly from Melody's website, there is a specific customer service process for website orders. If you order through TikTok Shop, there is a separate customer service process that goes through TikTok's system. These processes are not interchangeable. You cannot skip them, you cannot mix them, and you cannot bypass them and then claim you were ignored. Customer service issues are resolved through customer service, not through social media smear campaigns. So the question becomes, did this person follow the proper protocol? Did they submit the required information, including their order number, purchase date, item description, and issue details? Or did they decide to skip that step and take the issue straight to the internet? Because those are two very different scenarios. The next allegation escalates dramatically. We move from a missing order to claims of identity theft. This is where the story really begins to unravel. The claim being made is that someone associated with Melody or somehow connected to her business allegedly stole this person's identity and accessed their work computer. That is a serious accusation. That is not influencer drama. That is a criminal claim. And yet, no clear explanation is provided as to how this would even be possible. Most people's work computers are protected by individual login credentials. Usernames and passwords are private. They are not shared with beauty brands. They are not accessible through a product order. And unless someone physically handed over their credentials, this allegation does not pass basic logic. So how did this supposedly happen? There is no explanation, no evidence presented, no timeline, no technical clarity, just a claim tossed into the mix. Then, for reasons that remain unclear, Martell is suddenly mentioned. Melody's ex-husband is brought into the narrative without any clear connection to the alleged customer service issue or identity theft claim. This is a common tactic when stories need emotional fuel. You insert a known name to keep attention and stir reactions. But again, the question must be asked. What does Martell have to do with a December product order? Nothing. Then we hear about alleged issues involving YouTubers and content creators. Allegedly, this person sent their phone to someone believing they were receiving help after their identity was compromised. They claim they were used. They claim they want their money back. At this point, the story is no longer focused, it is scattered. And when stories scatter, accountability disappears. We now have multiple allegations involving multiple parties across multiple platforms over an extended timeline with no clear chain of events. That is not how legitimate claims are handled. Then we get to the money. The person alleges they are out approximately $500. This includes product orders and a ticket to Melody's Winter Wonderland event, which was her second annual event held in late December. They claim they requested a refund prior to the deadline. So again, the question is simple. If a refund was requested properly and within the stated time frame, why was it not resolved through official channels? Why was it not escalated to payment processors? Why was it not disputed through the platform where the purchase was made? Why is the first public action a TikTok story, especially when we are now in mid-January 2026? If the order was placed in early December and the event occurred at the end of December, why is this being pushed now? Why was there no urgency weeks ago? Why are we almost 2 months out before this becomes a public campaign? That delay matters. When issues are real and pressing, people act immediately. They follow up, they document, they escalate through formal channels. They do not wait until a major announcement involving another cast member drops and then suddenly decide to go public. That is where motive comes into question, because the timing suggests this is not about resolution, it's about attention. It feels like an attempt to generate traction, clicks, and engagement by attaching Melody's name to controversy. And that is especially concerning given that Melody has been minding her business, focusing on her children, and growing her brand without engaging in reality TV drama. She is not actively filming, she is not throwing shade, she is not responding online. So why is she being targeted? This starts to look less like a customer dispute and more like a coordinated attempt to start a hate train in 2026. And let's talk about hate trains for a moment. Hate trains do not start randomly. They are often triggered strategically, especially in digital spaces where algorithms reward outrage. A name is attached, allegations are stacked, content creators are tagged, and suddenly a narrative takes off without verification. That is dangerous. Even people who are not fans of Melody should be able to look at this situation and ask reasonable questions. What is the full timeline? What evidence supports these claims? What steps were taken privately before going public? And why does none of this seem to connect cleanly? Because right now, the math is not mathing. The customer service process is clear. The identity theft claim lacks explanation. The Martell mention feels irrelevant. The YouTuber involvement is vague. The financial claims are delayed. And the timing is suspicious. When all of those factors are combined, it paints a picture that is hard to ignore. It looks calculated, it looks premeditated, and it looks like an attempt to damage Melody's reputation at a moment when her name can be used for traffic, especially when Stormy Steele's spin-off announcement just dropped. Let's be honest, Melody's name still carries weight. People click when they see her name, people talk, people engage, and attaching controversy to her, even when she is not involved, benefits others who want attention. That does not mean Stormy is responsible, but it does raise the question of who benefits from this narrative circulating right now, because it is not Melody. If this were truly about a missing order, it would have been handled weeks ago. If it were truly about identity theft, law enforcement would be involved. If it were truly about refunds, payment disputes would have been filed. Instead, we have TikTok videos, emotional storytelling, and attempts to pull bloggers and YouTubers into amplifying the claims. That is not resolution. That is reputation damage, and that is where the line must be drawn. Criticism is fair, reviews are fair, opinions are fair, but public smear campaigns based on unclear, unsupported claims are not. Melody has said before that the battle is over. She walked away from the show. She chose peace. And yet, it seems that some people cannot let that go. There is a strange obsession with keeping her name in drama, even when she is not participating. And that says more about the people pushing the narrative than it does about her. At the end of the day, if someone has a legitimate issue, there are proper channels to address it. Businesses have systems, platforms have protections, legal routes exist. But when those are bypassed in favor of social media storytelling, motives become questionable. And that is why this situation feels less like accountability and more like an attempt to manufacture a hate train in 2026. Melody is not bothering anyone. She is not attacking anyone. She is not inserting herself into anyone else's announcement. So why can't she be left alone? That is the real question. And until clear evidence, timeline,